Good afternoon. So, as you can see here, we will be going over the seeds of fear and how to reprogram your mind from having a fear mindset. You know, so in this overview, what we will cover is what fear really is, where fear comes from, how fear is reinforced daily, the six core fears, how fear destroys independent thinking. Fear plus indecision equals being stuck. Fear becomes a mental prison. How fear is used to control the masses. The antidote, right? You have your purpose and your action, and how to apply all this to your life. And at the end of this, you will be able to understand the roots of your fear, its hidden power, how it controls you, how to break free, and finally, how to move forward. So, let's get into it. And before we do, actually, I got this idea from one of my most favorite books. It's called Outwitting the Devil, and I believe this was chapter 7 in the book. Yeah, it talks about all this. So this is where I got all my ideas from, and I'm just like putting it in my own words. So if you really want like a true source, I would definitely check out that book. It's a very good book, very good book. So let's get right into it. All right, what fear really is. Fear, as you know, is not something you are born with. It's it's not fully developed when you're born with it, right? It's something that gets installed into you over time. You don't wake up one day and are afraid to fail. You don't naturally fear judgment at a deep level. These fears are learned, repeated, and accepted, right? And every time I go off on a point, I'll go off on like a little tangent and give my own 2 cents. So, fear is something that, of course, you're not born with, right? You don't know nothing about the world. You don't know how the world operates, nothing, right? You come in with like this childlike wonder about the world, right? Fear doesn't really resonate with you when you're a child. But as you grow up and you have your family, your influences, your jobs, your peers, they impose their fears on you, right? Oh man, this is gonna happen. This is gonna happen. Now you start to grow up in an environment that is entirely fear based, right? And that is not good for development, right? Over time, fear becomes your inner voice, right? That constant commentary in your head. Your hesitation, that's a big one. Your hesitation, that invisible brake on your actions, right? Whether that's you're going to go do something that you've never done before, or you're going to go like, I don't know, talk to like somebody that you never talked to before, you get a little nervous, right? It's that hesitation. It's that fear, right? Hesitation derives from fear of an unknown outcome. It's one of those things to where you don't know what's going to happen, you fear what's going to happen, and you fear the outcome. When in all reality, it's the outcome isn't even that bad. And it's your logic, the explanations you use to justify being safe, to justify staying safe, right? So it's almost like how you want to go do something, but you're thinking about the outcome, right? You're saying, oh man, I'm not going to do this because if this happens, then this will happen, right? And you're just giving yourself excuses not to do the thing that you know is good for you, right? It's not natural. Fear isn't a flaw in you, it's a programmed response, right? So here's you as a child, and you have your experiences, your education, your society, media, and over time, it's all installed until you turn to this guy, right? It's built through repetition, experience, and authority, right? Repetition, you keep having this fear mindset over and over and over and over again. Experience, right? Your experiences, since you're overcomplicating something in your mind, it becomes your reality in a sense, right? An authority, right? Your parents, your teachers, people that you look up to are telling you, don't do this, don't do that, when it's something that you really want to do, but they were too afraid to do it. So now they're imposing their self-limiting beliefs onto you, right? And now you're this guy. It's not worth the risk. I'm not good enough. What if I fail? People will judge me. And that becomes your filter, right? Fear starts to decide what feels possible, what feels safe, and what you avoid, right? All your opportunities, experiences, decisions, your rejections, what feels safe, they all funnel into fear that goes into you, right? And here, I want to put this in because I thought this was a good note. Fear doesn't always yell. Sometimes it whispers, and it sounds exactly like you. So it's one of those things where it's not like a surprising right? It's not one of those things where like it comes out of nowhere, right? It's those subtle moments to where you want to do something, and you're just like, I don't know, man. I don't know if I can do this, right? That's the fear whispering in your ear, telling you not to do that certain thing, right? And I'm not saying it's a bad thing, right? It can be used for good, but in this context, it can be a bad thing, bro. Like it's like a double-edged sword, you know. So how fear is reinforced daily. Fear doesn't just exist. It's constantly being fed. Every day you're exposed to inputs that program your mind to expect danger, comparison, lack, and failure. And let me touch on the comparison piece, right? We live in a generation nowadays to where you see somebody with like the flashiest thing, right? The next best thing, the next best person, right? They're always going bigger and better, right? And that fear inside of you is saying, you can't have that, right? For whatever reason, it's telling you that you cannot have that, right? It's not guiding you in the direction of, oh man, let's get on it. It's guiding you in the direction of you can't have that. You're stuck in this like crab in a bucket mentality with yourself, you know. But yeah, the more you consume, the more your brain believes it, and the more it believes, it's smaller your life becomes. Like I said, right? You go out and compare yourself to other people, and now your life is like this. It's becoming smaller, right? You're imposing again self-limiting beliefs onto yourself for no reason whatsoever, right? No reason other than the fact that you were programmed to think this way, right? The truth is, you're not just living your life, you're consuming someone else's perspective of reality, right? We're just watching shows every day, watching media, and all the stuff that these people do, we're comparing it to our life. And when you compare that to your life and it's not as glamorous or as hyped up as that next person's life, right? That's when it starts to creep in, right? It's like, oh man, what am I doing with my life, right? My peers are having kids, they're having this job, and behind the scenes, you don't even know that these people absolutely hate their lives, right? But because you have that fear mindset, that skittish fear mindset, it's, man, I'll never be able to achieve what they achieve, when in all actuality, it's not that difficult to achieve what they achieve. Just put forth the effort to do what you need to do, right? And here are the three main sources that feed your fear every day. News and media, they focus on danger and negativity, right? Now, I'm not saying news is entirely bad, right? Because you can get great news from great sources, right? But don't rely solely on like one source, whatever. Do your research, do your due diligence to figure out what is right, what is wrong, what is the truth, and what is a lie. I touched on this. Social media, it fuels comparison, judgment, and pressure, right? You're always pressured to be a certain way, right? You want to go do this, but society is telling you you have to go do this, right? Your peers that you don't even like, honestly, are telling you, oh, you should do this. It'll make you cool, right? And now you have that FOMO, that fear of missing out, right? It all comes back to this, man. And the people around you, sorry about that, and the people around you, they think small, play safe, and spread limitations, right? This guy is saying that's too risky. This person is saying that it won't work. And this person is telling you be realistic, right? In this world, you cannot live or be around people that have this mindset, bro. You can't, because people with this sort of mindset will always hold you down, right? Whether you are conscious of it or not, they'll always hold you down because you're always having this weight on your back telling you can't do it, you can't do it, you can't do it. And even the person with the strongest willpower is going to they won't succumb to it, but it's going to hinder their growth, right? You have to be around people who are supportive of your ideas and help you flourish, right? In whatever environment you choose to be, in, right? And all these three things culminated have little effects over time, right? Distorted reality, you have a smaller identity, fear-based decisions, comfort becomes the goal, and regret accumulates, right? And this one right here is the big thing that a lot of people talk about when they get older, right? Oh, I should have did this, I should have did that, I should have talked to this girl, I should have talked to that guy, I should have, but not a lot of I did do this, right? Whether or not I failed or I succeeded, at least I tried, and at least I know, okay, I did these things, and now I can pivot, right? Life's all about pivoting, right? It's not about running into an obstacle and stopping, because once you stop, you lose all momentum, bro. And when you lose all momentum, it's not good. It's not good at all to lose all that momentum, you know? It's one of those things where it's like, you have the ball rolling down the hill, right? And once it stops, right, it loses all its momentum. It has to start back at square one, right? Just because you fail at something doesn't mean it was a bad thing. Just take it as a learning experience, right? But you can never, never, never live in regret. Do the things that you've always wanted to do. Talk to the people that you've always wanted to talk to, and go out and experience the life that you've always wanted to experience, right? And that, in turn, starts the reinforcement loop. You see and you hear something fear-based, you feel anxious or threatened, avoid withdrawal to feel safe. You have short-term relief, but fear grows stronger, and then it all loops, right? And the loop keeps you stuck unless you break it. You have to be conscious and aware of the fact that you are in this loop, And when you're in this loop, it's really hard to know that, okay, I'm stuck in this purgatory loop, whatever you want to call it. How do I get out of it, right? Because everybody around you doesn't want to get on the same mindset that you want to get onto. And it's hard to, again, grow in an environment where people want to stay the same, And I want to touch on this last piece before the next slide. Your brain is designed to survive, not thrive. So what does that mean? Naturally, your brain goes towards fear. It goes towards fear naturally because it's designed to survive, right? It's one of those things where we evolved to have a group think. We have a group thinking mentality, right? The group does this, so I do this, right? The people do this, so I do this, right? You're not sitting back and questioning, why are they doing this, right? What is the outcome of this going to be? Are they doing this because somebody else told them to do this, and this is just the way things have always been done? Or are they doing this because this is what they truly want to do, right? You have to take a step back and realize, okay, I'm my own individual, and I can do things of my own autonomy, right? I have free will. Now, don't do anything crazy or illegal, right? But always remember that you don't have to live in a survivor-based mindset, right? You can always live in a thriving-based mindset. So you have the 6 core fears. It's a big one. This is a big one. Not going to go too in-depth on each and every one because I'm pretty sure you can get the gist of it from these, right? When I say these, I mean 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, all of these right here, right? So the first one, fear of poverty. The fear of not having enough money, resources, or security, right? And I apologize if you guys hear sirens in the background. There are cop cars, fire trucks. It happens almost every day. But We press. So you have the fear of poverty. This one is the big one. People are afraid to leave jobs that they hate, leave a person that they hate because, or just leave situations that they hate altogether because they are afraid of being poor or being broke, right? That is the one thing that keeps a lot of people stuck in the same situation, right? It does not help you grow whatsoever, you know? Now you can, it's like a teeter, right? You have the fear of poverty to where you're so crippling stuck that you just cannot move or do anything, right? You're in this continuous cycle, this continuous purgatory of waking up, paying bills, work, sleep, wake up, pay bills, work, sleep, wake up, pay bills, work, sleep. You're in this continuous cycle and you feel as though that you'll never get out of it, right? But on the other side of the spectrum, you have the people who fear the poverty but want to do something about it, right? They want to do something about it. Down here, like I said, it keeps you in jobs that you hate. You avoid taking financial risks. You settle for less to feel safe, right? You're afraid to apply to other jobs because you're like, oh, what if they don't accept me? Or I'm just wasting my time. Nobody will ever take me, right? That's a limiting mindset. You cannot live in a limiting mindset. You have to always live in a growth mindset, right? Always. Because life is not just going to hand you things. It won't. You have to get up and you have to work for what you want in this life, right? You have to have a goal, a vision. Okay, here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to do A, B, C, D, E, and eventually I'll get to Z, right? That's how you should live every single day, all right? Fear of criticism. This is a big one in our society. My generation specifically, because a lot of people my age, older, honestly, it doesn't even matter the age. A lot of people fear being criticized, right? I don't want to look cringe doing this. I don't want to talk to this person because they're not the status quo. I don't want to work this job because it's not flashy. I don't want to drive this car because it's older and people are going to look at me a certain way. Who cares? Drop all of the pride you have and go after what you want, right? It's okay to be cringy in this life. It's okay. You won't die, right? Nothing bad is going to happen to you if you go out for your dreams, right? It's that is like one of the biggest limiting mindsets that a lot of people have is the fear of being criticized, right? The fear of being judged, rejected, and embarrassed by others. Who cares what these people think, right? Do you remember 10 years ago what somebody said about you? How about 5 years ago? How about a year ago, right? When you tried something and somebody laughed or they made fun of you. But think about it. They laugh and they make fun of you, but one, they're not trying it. And two, they're going to forget about it in the next 30 minutes, right? You're the one who's holding on to whatever they're saying, right? You cannot hold on to things like that. You have to let go. Drop the pride, drop the ego, be free, right? Do not be afraid to be criticized in this life because everybody will criticize you no matter what you do. No matter what you do. So when you do something, do it with all your passion and all your heart. Because I promise you, the same people who are laughing at you, one, are too afraid to do anything themselves, and two, they also have self-limiting beliefs on themselves. So they try to impose it onto you, right? Because you were once in the same spot that they are, but months from now, years from now, you'll be in a different spot, right? You don't speak up or share your ideas. You hide your work or talents, and you avoid standing out at all costs, right? You're like a turtle in your shell. You don't want to puff your chest out, right? Puff your chest out. Show the world who you are. Because at the end of the day, you only have one life, right? And this you have this small amount of time to achieve so much. And you cannot let fear of criticism, right? All these people in the background, all these people who have that self-limiting belief, do not let them oppose it on you. You can't. Because if you do, you'll stay the same forever, right? And of course you have the other ones, right? The fear of ill health, the fear of lost love, the fear of old age, and the fear of death, right? I tie 3, 5, and 6 all together because a lot of people fear having bad health, right? Work out. Simple as that. Right? Now there are those freak accidents, I can't lie. But you can mitigate it. Right? Work out, drink water, go on a run, be active, improve your life in every aspect. Right? You need to minimize this as much as possible. Because if you minimize this you won't have a fear of because you'll go into the old age being strong, healthy, and you'll just go into it being like energized, right? You'll be that healthy grandma or grandpa that your grandkids want to talk to, everybody wants to talk to. You have that nice wisdom because you took care of yourself in your younger years, you know. And when you get to right the fear of death, right? You once you get here, right? You can't control this, but what you can control is almost everything before that. All right, you can control your life. You can control how you feel about people criticizing you. You can control the money, right? Let it flow in the way you want it to flow, right? Let life flow in the way you want it to flow. This one, number 4, the fear of lost love. You cannot fear that. You can't because people will come and go. They'll come and go. But at the end of the day, you have yourself. And if you love yourself, right, you love yourself to the utmost, you will live a wonderful and glorious life. Because once you love yourself more than anybody else can love you, you don't fear the loss of love, right? It's just one of those things that everybody has to go through, right? What's that saying? You grow through what you go through, right? All this, except for it honestly, all this can be dealt with, you know? It's just you have to take small actions in your life to deal with all this, right? This isn't like a snap your finger and it's gonna get better. No, it's a you do something. You do this every day, right? Every day, you chip away at it every day, right? Sometimes you fall, sometimes you rise, but at the end of the day, you chip at it every day. And when you chip at that thing, right, you keep chipping away. At the end of it, you go from this. You go from I need to avoid pain. This guy, right? Self-limiting guy. No. To this, I choose to pursue purpose, right? You choose to pursue your purpose. We kind of went over this, right? How fear destroys your independent thinking, but I'll touch on it a little bit more, right? I won't go over everything on this. You can take a look for it for yourself. You know, I worked hard on this, so you can take a hard look at it, pause, look at it. But fear destroys independent thinking, right? This is one of those things where you have to be very self-aware of who you listen to, what you listen to, right? Because you'll find yourself parroting other people when you never even believed in them in the first place, right? It was just what you heard your entire life. So it's all you know, right? It's literally all you know. When fear is in control, you stop trusting your mind and start relying on what others think for you, right? You are your own person. You can think for yourself, you know? Have your own ideas, have your own passions, right? Create something. Don't just consume, create something, right? You trade your curiosity for comfort. You trade truth for approval, right? When you know something is wrong deep in your mind, you're like, this is wrong. this is wrong with this situation that I'm in right now is wrong, right? But you want to have the approval of other people, so you keep going along with it, even though you know it's wrong deep in your soul, right? Whatever that situation may be, you know? You trade your curiosity for comfort. Have that childlike wonder again within life. Because once you have that childlike wonder, right, you're not really comfortable. You're always exploring. You have this bright-eyed sort of view on life, right? Not everything is dull anymore, right? Napoleon Hill said the greatest prison people live in is the fear of what other people think. Always thinking about what other people think. Oh man, what if they don't like my outfit? Oh man, what if they don't like how I do this? What if they think I'm weird? Oh man, that joke was weird. Who cares what these people think, bro? Who cares, bro? Literally, who cares? Right? Again, this is your life. Live how you want to live it. All right? Can't hold on to what other people think all the time. All right? Fear plus indecision equals being stuck. All right? Touching it really fast. When you're indecisive, right? Being indecisive and having fear are the two worst combinations that you can ever have, right? I want to touch on this. The cost of waiting. Everything else, it matters, right? But this, the cost of waiting, lost time, lost potential, lost confidence, more regret, and deeper fear. All this ties into itself, right? Because this is all like a wave effect, right? Lost time. You can't get that time back. And that equals lost potential, right? Now, I believe as humans we have infinite potential, right? Potential is one of those things where it can be infinite, right? It doesn't have a cap to it, but it does have a limiter effect, right? It's one of those things where it doesn't have a cap, but it gets harder and harder the more you live in a certain type of mindset, right? And when it comes to that lost potential, you have lost confidence. And that lost confidence leads to more regret and deeper fear. It all ties in, right? This all ties in. It's like a chain effect. One thing starts, and then next thing you know, you're on your deathbed, regretting all the life choices you made because none of them were things that you wanted to do for yourself, right? We touched on this. Fear becomes a mental prison, right? Like Napoleon, like it's one of those things where it's like you're this guy, right? You're saying it's too risky. I'm not capable. I'm not confident. I'm not ready. I'll just fail and I don't belong. Literally, you're the one keeping yourself in this prison. You know that? Nobody else is keeping you in this state of thought other than you. You have to be the one to break out of it, right? Here's the way out. Actually, I'll touch on what keeps the prison strong, right? Repetition. Saying the same things over and over again, talking to the same people, right? Outside validation, comfort addiction, and avoidance, right? All this stuff, bad, poison. The way out is you see it, right? You see all the times that you've hesitated, right? You challenge it. You start having some bravado to you, you know? Your heart's pumping, right? You still do it anyway, you know? You're scared, but you still do it because when you still do it, it makes you feel alive once you do something like that, right? Heart's pumping. Oh, dang. Oh, man. You're short of breath, right? Sweating, right? A lot of people will call that anxiety, right? That's what they'll call it. Bro, you're just anxious. You shouldn't do it. Do it. Keep going, bro. Just keep going. Because if you keep going, you'll break through. Right here, you'll break it. I'm kind of covering my last slide, but right here it says you become free, right? Once you break out of that mental prison, you become free. It's one of those things where it's like so freeing, bro. It's so freeing to understand that this is all just something that's in your head. All of it is in your head. This is literally like it's the playbook, right? It's all in your head. You can do anything you put your mind to. And I know it sounds cliche. And I know a lot of people have said it before, but you can literally do anything you put your mind to, right? Fear lives in the future. I'm not going to read off the slides for this one because I've lived this, right? You're afraid of the future. You don't know what's going to happen, right? What if this? What if that? What if this? What if that? You can't live like that. Because if you live like that, that's going to be the reality that you bring upon yourself, right? I think I read something one time to where it said your brain doesn't know what you've imagined versus real life, right? To an extent. So like if you keep repeatedly thinking about a bad experience, right? Your brain doesn't know that that bad experience never happened. It just automatically thinks that it happened, right? It's weird like that. It's weird, I know. But that's why living in the future is it's bad, right? Now, again, flip side, you can have the bad to where it's like, oh, I'm afraid to do this, I'm afraid to do that. But you can also have the good, right? I can't wait to do this, I can't wait to do that. You have goals in mind, right? You have to have that balance in between everything, right? That balance is what keeps everything stable, right? I'll just read this one little passage down here. The future is uncertain, the present is real. Anchor here and live now. Be in the present because it's all you have. Fear makes you miss the moment, right? You see a pretty girl down the street. You're like, ah, man, I don't know if I want to talk to her. You don't do it, right? You missed out on the most perfect, beautiful life because you were afraid, right? On the flip side, for the girls, you see a guy that you really want to talk to. Ah, I'm afraid. What if he doesn't like me? You missed out on the most beautiful life, right? Get a job opportunity. Ah, I don't know, man. I don't know if I'm gonna be good. You missed it. Somebody else took it, right? Fear makes you miss the big moments, the little moments, the moments that matter. Do not be afraid to take what you want in this life, right? If you are being offered something, take upon that offer and run with it. All right. The more present you are, the more you feel alive. All right. And there are 3 ways to come back to the now. Even I practice this sometimes, right? Look, look around at 5 things around you. Hey, here's my desk, my mouse, my hand, right? Look, just look at things, right? Be in the present. Feel things, right? Feel your body, feel your breath, right? Feel your soul, your spirit, right? You're here. You're in the now. And be grateful. Because a lot of people, they didn't wake up today, right? And that's the reality of it. A lot of people didn't wake up today. But you did. And you have an opportunity of a lifetime. Because there's like a 1 in a billionth chance that you could have been born and you're here and you're still waking up. You're watching this video. You have friends, family, right? You're here. So make the most of it, right? It just makes sense to. It just makes sense. Fear is a liar and courage is the truth, right? The truth is, fear is just a thought, and thoughts can be changed. Thoughts change all the time. You probably had a thought this morning that you can't even remember because thoughts change all the time. You are stronger than you think. You survived 100% of the hardest days. Again, you're here, right? All your hardest days that you thought were life ending, you thought were you couldn't get past it, you're here, right? Things are not as bad as we make them out to seem, right? Fear amplifies the things that we think are going to be horrible, but in actuality, they're not that bad, right? Discomfort is the door. Everything you want is on the other side. and you have direction. You just need to take the step. All right? Just take the first step. Take that first step. Because once you finally take that first step, the doors will open. It'll be like the floodgates. All that fear that you had will just wash away because you realize that things are not that bad. And I promise you guys, I have an extra slide. I know I said 10 slides, but I just want to throw a little extra in there, right? The last slide, 11 steps on how to apply everything and turn knowledge into a new life, right? 1, see it for what it is, all right? Recognize fear for what it really is. It's a survival mechanism, not reality. Step 2, you call it out. You name the fear, get specific, because clarity is power. Once you identify what that fear is, and you really sit down and think, is this really going to harm me? Right? Is this really going to mess up my future? You realize that it won't, right? It's all in your head. Feel it, don't fight it. Go with the flow, right? Just go with the flow. Allow the fear to be there without running from it. Presence weakens its control. Rewrite your story, right? You have the power to rewrite your story. You can be anybody you want in this life. It don't matter. You can be the shy person today and the bold person tomorrow. You can be anything you want in this life, right? Replace the old limiting belief with a new empowering truth. 5, visualize the future you, right? See yourself on the other side of that fear. 6, take one small step because action breaks the spell, all right? Repeat until you change. Keep chipping away. Ding, ding, ding. Keep chipping away at it. Keep chipping away. Because when you keep chipping away at it, eventually something's going to break. Eventually something's going to snap. Something's going to give, bro. Track your progress, right? If you're in the gym, take pictures. Okay, I was skinny. I was a little bit overweight. Boom, I take a picture, and now I'm here, right? 3 months down the line, a year down the line, you look at yourself, you're like, yo, it wasn't even that bad. What was I so afraid of, right? Number 9, reflect and learn. Reflect on all the past fears you've had. Learn that they weren't that bad, right? Look back and adjust and get better. Growth is in the rear view mirror. Level up your standards, right? You become who you surround yourself with and what you tolerate. Raise the bar, right? You know that you want to leave that dead-end job. Leave it. You know you want to be better. Be better. You want to have better people around you, better experiences. Do that. Nothing can stop you, all right? And lastly, but certainly not least, build a system that forces growth, right? Have habits that force growth. Wake up at a different time, do different stuff, go boxing, go swimming, go wrestle, play chess, right? Study physics, learn something, be curious. Because when you're curious in this life, nothing can stop you. You can take the arms, the legs, the torso, everything. But as long as you have your mind, bro, nothing can stop you, right? Learn about history, learn about physics, learn about science, learn about nature. Learn how to box, how to swim, how to run, how to stretch. Learn it all, right? The only thing that's stopping you from learning all these things is the limiting mindset and the fear you have behind it. Lastly, this isn't about beating fear, it's about outgrowing it. It's a big one. Outgrow that fear. Because it's literally all in your head. Right? Be the person that you've always wanted to be. I appreciate you guys for listening to this video. I will see you guys in the next one.